Welcome to Meaningful. The other day, when I was driving, I was behind a truck, and there was a bumper sticker that said, "Horn broken, watch out for finger." Now, I'm behind this truck, and there's no rage going on, so it's hilarious. That is a clever bumper sticker, but if you identify with this, get attached to this, then that's a very offensive bumper sticker, causing the mind to be loud. And that's all I'm trying to share, is that Meaningful Mornings is teaching us what we're not. The highest form of forgiveness is to be unoffendable. Then you never have to forgive. So the next time you see a sticker like that, horn broken, watch out for finger. If you ever see that finger, remember to be unoffendable. Bhagavad Gita's chapter 15, verse 15, triggers the essence of the essence. And Sri Krishna shares, he is established, not changing, not going anywhere, irrespective of how you feel. He's staying. Where? In your heart. In my heart. Since you have become conscious of you, your sense of I, your sense of being, is not that of an individual. That is Shri Krishna. In verse 16, Shri Krishna is sharing the sense of I, the sense of being. This is intrinsic to the lower presence, which is the equipments, and the higher presence, which is the ego. Your presence, who you are, is what allows there to be an ego, which allows there to be equipment. In verse 17, Uttamah purushastvanyah paramatmetyudharataha yo lokatrayamavishya vibhartavyaya ishwaraha. This presence that is the highest, not high, not higher, but highest. For us, not deep, not deeper, but deepest. That is not the body or the mind or the ego, but rather is existence. Existence has no references. The existing has the reference of existence. Existence doesn't have the reference of existing. Now, a most practical implication of this is compare less. References in a worldly sense are comparison. Existence cannot and is not doing. Doing implies there's an incompleteness. What existence is engaged in is being. And the implication of this for us, Shri Krishna has already shared, the deepest is not the ego or equipment or experiences. Whatever experiences you're trying to create, they will be created in time and uncreated in time. Today I will drive to Cleveland, I will arrive in time, and then I'll leave on Sunday and come back. Pujaswami Chinmayananda shares. The infinite consciousness itself is the perishable field in another form and as the knower of the field. The same consciousness is the imperishable reality in the perishable conditionings. But when these conditionings are transcended, the same self is experienced as the supreme self, the Paramatma. I'd shared with all of you yesterday about how we have forgotten who we are. So there's the Veda, Upanishad, and so on. This series of verses is teaching you who you are. Can there be a more fundamental subject? Can there be a more important subject? How? How, Vivekji? How do we know who we are? Be deeper. You've heard that 50 times in the past 2 weeks. Here's a visualization for you. Yesterday when I was watching Shuka in his swimming lesson, I was thinking about how he's starting in not even the shallow end. It's like the walking end, where a 4-year-old can walk down a ramp. And then where I was sitting, there's the deep end. So, how did you learn how to swim? How many of you don't know how to swim by a show of hands? Okay. In Viveka Chudamani, which is a map by Acharya Shankara, one of the qualifications of a student is uha poha vichakshana. It's a really cool quality. And it means a teacher who understands the world well and can give examples that will help the student to lift their minds. Now, all of you who have your hands up for not being able to swim, this doesn't help. You're reducing my uha poha vichakshana. But how do you start to swim? You start in the shallow end. And after that, you put on floats. And so you can go into the deeper end. Then you have an instructor, someone who knows how to swim. Then your muscles grow bigger in your legs and your arms. And finally, you believe in yourself that you can swim. You have done this in terms of never being able to swim, and now you can. Be deeper systematically. And for those who don't relate to this swimming example, whatever you are doing, dedicate what you are doing. How can I know who I am? Whatever you're doing, dedicate this to Sri Krishna. Dedicate this to self-discovery. Verse 18. Yasmaksharamati-toham aksharaadapi chottamaha atosmi loke vedecha pratitah purushottamaha. Joy. Yasmat, the one who's described by this, Aksharam comes later. Here, Shri Krishna is starting with Kshara, that which is perishing. Before I continue, chapter 14. What was the theme? Share with me in the chat. What was the theme for chapter 14? Limits. The word used in chapter 14 was guna. Here the word that's being used is kshara. And we ended chapter 14 not with guna, but gunatita. Here the same is being shared. Aham, atita. Shri Krishna is a presence that is beyond the high presence, the ut purusha. a practice for all of us. Whatever you identify with here and now, grow this. For the majority who are joining us, what do you identify with? Your family. Grow your sense of family to the community. That is how atita, transcendence, is felt. Shri Krishna is more clear about this in the second quarter. Aksharat api uttama. Even compared to the akshara, I am higher. Shri Krishna is emphasizing that there's a third presence. Not high, higher, but highest. Not changing, changing less, but changeless. The theme for chapter 15 is limitlessness. Higher is still limited. Highest is limitlessness. A reflection for all of us. A lot of what is shared from verses 15 to 20 for us, these are just words. Deep, deeper, deepest. It's like geography class or math class. But if you start to practice, you will feel that these words are more true than geography and math. Geography changes. Mount Everest keeps getting higher. Math changes. Sort of. Just go with my example. How about accounting principles change? Fine. But these words don't change. And if you start to feel these words, then you don't need words. When Bhagwan Narayana presented himself in front of Dhruva and said, "What do you want?" He couldn't open his mouth. What do you want? He's feeling divinity. Only when Bhagwan Narayana touched him with a conch did he start to speak. Try to make these words feelings. And Krishna is getting to the conclusion. Ataha, which means therefore. Asmi, which means me, this feeling of I. Loke and Vede. Loke means in the world. Vede means in the Veda. Shri Krishna's import here is awareness, existence, this presence is in the world, is in the Veda. The world here symbolizes those who don't know the presence. Veda symbolizes those who do know the presence, whether you know it or not. The sense of I, the sense of being, is the same. It is changeless. If you're the most worldly person, compared to you're the most service-oriented person, the I is not different. So an implication for us is to believe in ourselves. Those who do know, they benefit from this limitlessness. Pratitaha, and thus is declared, and thus is taught, and thus is described the Purusha Uttama. Not Ut, which means deep, not Uttara, which means deeper, but Uttama, which is the deepest. On Monday, August 21st, when we complete this chapter, we will chant, the yoga is Purushottama. The yoga that is taught in this chapter is about Purushottama. Shri Krishna is bringing a conclusion to these teachings. Awesome? From inspiration to application. Your application was, which of these 6 verses is hitting you hardest? Does anyone want to share? All of them. This is a tsunami of teachings. As you're sharing, who's right? Is it 19? Is it 17? Here I'm telling you not to compare, and I'm comparing. The point of this is, if you personalize, you naturalize. Now, someone shared verse 19. They have thought about this enough to personalize this. There's a fine chance that they won't forget this. Whether it's the chanting or the import, personalize this subjective science. Look after your books. Pray to them before you start your reading, writing, and reflecting. Your application for this morning, I distilled how does one practice being deeper? Whatever you do, do this with dedication. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke in Washington, D.C. on right actions with right attitude. And so that link is being shared with you in the chat. This is a short workshop. Try to experience this to help you be more dedicated so you can be deeper. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be joy.